Welcome to Shadow Foreign Secretary David Lammy.
Well, Mr. Speaker, can I thank the Right Honourable Member for advance sight of his statement. Mr. Speaker, I would have liked to have started by welcoming the new Foreign Secretary to his place. But I can't do that because he isn't here. Despite my respect for the Right Honourable gentleman opposite, he is not the Foreign Secretary. And we don't know when or how this House will hear from the Foreign Secretary because he's not a member.
Mr. Seeley, are you going to be quiet? Right, in which case I expect it. Do come.
Mr. Speaker, David Cameron is the 7th Foreign Secretary in the 7 years of Tory chaos. He was forced to resign in failure over a matter of foreign policy. The Prime Minister has looked at each of the 350 MPs sitting opposite and decided that none of them was better at representing Britain's interests on the world stage. Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, claimed he was for change. Instead, he's just resurrected yesterday's failure with an honour. This decision raises serious questions for this House, but I know that you share those concerns, Mr. Speaker, at a time of grave international crisis, at a moment of war in Europe, with a more assertive China, a climate emergency and a horrifying conflict in Gaza, this House needs government accountability more than ever. So will the Minister commit to working closely with the Speaker to ensure the opposition and all members of Parliament can hold the Foreign Secretary to account? Turning to the horrors of Gaza, more than 11,000 Palestinians have reportedly been killed, with 2/3 of the dead being women and children. This is shocking and devastating. Every civilian death is an equal tragedy. Does the Minister agree with me that the number of Palestinian civilians and children who have been killed over the past month is intolerable? And does he agree that Israel must make changes to the way it is fighting this war by taking urgent, concrete steps to protect civilian life? I'm gravely concerned by the desperate reports from hospitals in northern Gaza. These were already overstretched with the wounded, short of fuel and filled with civilians seeking shelter. Doctors now forced to make impossible choices as they try to care for the wounded and newborns without power. Some of those newborns have now lost their lives. Unbearable. Medical establishments have special protection under international law. They should never be targeted or used as shields. All parties must follow international law, acting with necessity, distinction, proportionality and precaution. Allegations of breaches should always be treated with the utmost seriousness. I know the Minister said last week that this government supports ICC independence, as the Labour Party do, but he failed to answer whether the government recognises its jurisdiction to address the conduct of all parties in Gaza, as Prime Minister Boris Johnson rejected it and attacked the court. Labour recognises the ICC's jurisdiction. Can he clarify his government's position today? Gaza is in a humanitarian catastrophe. More than 1.5 million people have been displaced. There are desperate shortages of basic essentials. Does the Minister agree that the short pauses in the north are clearly not enough? Gazans need aid now. They need medicine now. They need water now. They need food now. They need fuel now. A full, comprehensive and immediate humanitarian pause in fighting across the whole of Gaza now to alleviate Palestinian suffering and for Hamas terrorists to release the hostages. Mr. Speaker, Hamas' stated aim is to wipe Israel off the map. They committed the most brutal attack on Jews since the Holocaust. Now they're using innocent Palestinians as human shields. I'd like to register my shock that not every member of this House can say this truth. Hamas are terrorists. We must not give up on the narrow openings that keep the prospect of peace alive. That means preventing escalation, condemning violence from settlers in the West Bank, condemning rocket attacks on Israel from Iran's proxies in Lebanon and elsewhere, creating a future where Gaza is not subject to occupation. Meanwhile, international diplomacy evolves and the facts on the ground are changing day to day. In relation to both hostages being rescued and Hamas's capability to carry out attacks like we saw on October the 7th, as the leader of the opposition set out to Chatham House, we must move to a full cessation of fighting as quickly as possible. The reality is that neither the long-term security of Israel nor long-term justice for Palestine can be delivered by bombs and bullets. We must seek a path to a political process that leads to two states, a secure Israel and an independent Palestine. Thank you, Mr.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I thank the honourable gentleman for his comments. Perhaps I should start with his comments about the Foreign Secretary. I would say this to him. I think that having a former Prime Minister and party leader as our Foreign Secretary, wherever you sit in this House, that must be a plus. They will be able to exert British influence, British policy highly effectively overseas, and I greatly welcome the appointment of Lord Cameron to the position as Foreign Secretary. He is, as the House will know, an extremely experienced parliamentarian, and I have no doubt whatsoever that both the House and the Foreign Office and the Government will gain enormously from his presence. He asked me, Mr. Speaker, whether I will commit to working very closely with you, and of course there is only one answer to that question, but also to ensure... Also to ensure the fullest possible accountability as you set it out, Mr. Speaker. He speaks of the scale of death and misery, and all deaths of civilians are to be profoundly regretted. He talked about the scenes from Al-Shifa Hospital, which will have shocked every single member of this House, and he, like me, will be aware that 102 humanitarian workers who placed their lives in jeopardy to support their fellow human beings, those lives have been lost. He asks me about the ICC. It's not for me to fetter or speak in the place of the chief prosecutor at the ICC, but he will know that he has spoken and that he will do so again. He called for the hostages to be released. Everyone in this House, I hope, will echo that. He said that Hamas are terrorists and suggested that some do not recognise that. I hope that I agree with him. I hope every member of the House will make it clear that Hamas are terrorists, and the dreadful pogrom that took place on October the 7th, where more Jewish people lost their lives in a day than at any time since the Holocaust. That piece of information is fundamental to our appreciation of the events to which he referred.